Okay guys, so in this video we are going to talk about how to use Maven to automate end-to-end build lifecycle. End-to-end build lifecycle means for any project there are some phases which the developer performs against that project. So the first phase, like when any developer starts implementing any application, and if he needs some third-party libraries like the classes which are not available with the Java libraries, so he need those jar file first in which the required classes are implemented, right? They are third-party classes, not they are not included in the Java environment, right? So he has to first get those libraries downloaded from the web, then adds those libraries are required to be added into the class path, then writing the code. Once the code writing is completed, then compilation. Once the compilation is done, unit testing is to be performed on the code written. Once the unit testing is done and it is like all the unit test cases are passed, then the developer goes to the next phase, that is packaging. Packaging means creating the library or creating the lib of that implementation created. Like if he is working on a web application, he will package that web application in WAR file, web archive file. If the project is library project, it would be packaged in jar file, Java archive file. If it is EJB, then EAR file, right? So depends upon what kind of an application the developer is working on. Based on that, in different formats, the library of that implementation would be created and would be deployed. So if it is a web application, then the deployment would be deploying it on the deploying it inside the Apache Tomcat or some kind of an application server. If it's a jar file, a library file, then it would be deployed on some artifact repository like mvnrepository.com or any Nexus repository. So the deployment depends upon what kind of an application the developer is working on, right? So deployment phase would be that. So in these phases, in order to automate these phases, the developer requires some kind of a build tool, right? So build tool is the tool which assists developer in doing this stuff, the end-to-end automation of this build life cycle, right? So Maven is such build tool. Now we are going to see how to automate this whole process end-to-end phase using Maven. For that, we have created one Maven project with the help of this command mvn space archetype : generate. This is the command to generate a Maven project. So Maven project, when you generate a Maven project, you have to mention two important parameters. The first is group ID equal to some value. So the group ID indicates the owner of the project, space -d. So -d is the way by which you can send the command line arguments to a Java runtime environment, right? So where you have to mention the key value pair and those you want to receive in the Java program. So this -d is the way you can send in the data in the form of key and value to the Java runtime environment. That's why prior to every parameter you will see -d, right? So artifact ID equal to the name of the project. Then there is a mentioning of Maven plugin. This is one of the plugin of Maven which creates the directory structure. Every project has got its own requirement of the directory structure based on the kind of the project that is. A web application has got a different directory structure and different file requirements. Java, basic Java project has its own directory structure requirement. EJB project also has got its own. So when you create the project, the Maven project, the Maven plugins will help you in creating the basic directory structure, so that you don't have to waste your time and don't have to get into creating every directory right from scratch and create and start building or start implementing the project. So you will get some template created based on the kind of the project you are implementing. So this is one of the plugin which gives us the directory structure for a basic Java project implementation. And -d interactive mode is which defines like when we will run this particular command. So Maven asks us for different settings. It prompts us for different values to be input as a part of the creation. So if we set it to false, Maven will not ask us anything. It will take the required other parameters which it needs to complete the creation process. It will take those with the default values. Otherwise we have to put the values for every prompt we get from Maven, right? But we have created it with false. Now after we created the project, we got this project created. I fired that command from this directory, so I got this project created with the name of the artifact ID. So artifact ID is the project name. So artifact ID, project name. Inside the project directory, I got the POM XML. We will be talking about POM XML in a while, but let's understand the directory structure. src main java is supposed to be a application source directory which has got one folder created, which is the package folder. The package folder gets the name of the group ID which you mentioned while creating the Maven project. And src test java is the directory where your unit test cases are expected to present, right? So there also you will find the package directory created. Now let's implement our application. So we are going to implement one calculator API. We are going to work on a calculator API project, calculator API having addition, multiplication, division, implementation done. So which I have started implementing. So we are going to implement the calculator API class which will contain addition, multiplication, division, and we are planning to release multiple versions of this API 1.0, 2.0, and we are going to add, with every new version we are going to add new functionalities into it, and then we are going to understand how we can automate this release cycle for 1.0, 2.0 with the help of Maven. That is what we are going to do. So I have started implementing. The package name would be this, our group ID which we had mentioned, right? So that is the package name. Then our class name is calculator API. I have written one method public int addition in num1 num2. So this method is expected to receive the two numbers and expected to add them and return the result back. And this file I am going to save in our src main java. So src main java, which is a source directory. Inside the package directory I am going to save this Java file. So calculator, so name of the class and name of the file should be same as we are we have written the public class. So if you have a public class, then the name of the Java file and the name of the class file should be same. Calculator API dot Java. Okay, and I'll just make this all files, and that's it. So I have saved it, right? So my file got saved in this directory. Now I'm done with this second phase of our build life cycle. I don't need any third-party libraries, but let's say if I need it, I don't need it right now, but let's say I need some library called Apache POI, the third-party library to deal with the Excel files. I want to write the data into the Excel and read the data from Excel. So to deal with the Excel files, Java doesn't have any class implemented in its libraries, right? But Apache, they have implemented it. So that Apache POI library would be the third-party library which I would be requiring for the implementation of my application. So let's do that phase as well. So let's download the Apache POI library. So where to download it from? So mvnrepository.com is the centralized artifact repository which Maven's by default go to download any required plugins and any required libraries, right? So here I can find for any library I want to get using Maven build tool. So you can see Apache POI. So Apache org.apache POI is the owner of the project, the group ID, and POI is the name of the project, right? So now I want this library, say, for the implementation of my application. So here I will come So this is the project page of that particular project, and this page has got the information about the different versions of that particular project release till date. So you can go to any release page, right? Here you will get the link to download the jar file manually, but as I said, we don't want to do anything manually. We want to automate the build lifecycle end to end with the help of Maven build tool, right? So we will take this dependency tag. So this dependency tag is nothing but the information about the project. Okay, so I will just paste it here and I'll explain you what the dependency tag contains. So it contains group ID, artifact ID and version of that project. So group ID, artifact ID and version is what we have here, right? Now what I need to do is, this is my dependency of the project, like the project which I am building, that calculator API. Let's say I want the Apache POI libraries for the implementation of it. So I will copy this dependency tag and I need to place it inside the POM XML of my project. So we will be talking about the POM XML afterwards in detail, but just to complete the first phase, what do I need to do? We are just understanding that, and then we will talk about the POM XML afterwards. So in the POM XML, which is the project's definition file, there I have to put my dependency tag. So the third-party libraries, if you need any third-party libraries in the implementation of your project, so you have to get that the dependency tag of that library project, and you have to put it in your project's POM XML under the dependencies tag. Okay, this is what you will do. Okay, so this is the first phase, that you will just put the definition of that required project in your dependencies, and Maven will, once we will run the different build life cycles of Maven, Maven will take care of downloading it and will create the class path for us. Okay, so yeah, that's what the first phase is all about. Then adding the class path, the second phase will also be done when the Maven will start compiling. So whenever the Maven, like after we write the code, when we compile it, so for resolving the symbols written in this third-party libraries, Maven needs the jar files to be added into the class path, right? So Maven will do it once we will start compiling the project and the unit testing then will be performed, right? But now let's get on to the unit testing. Now I am done with the implementation of my addition API. Now I want to write some unit test cases as a developer. So what I'll do is src java, here I will write few unit test cases. Now let's understand how to write the unit test cases. So here I will again create a package as I'm mentioning the package as this one, the group ID of our project, right? Just that the unit test cases resides in src test java and the application code resides in src main java. That is the difference. So let's create a class, public class test calculator API. So as a developer, what I'll do is, as and when I'll add new functions into my API, I will test them. I will keep on adding different test cases there. So let's do that. So public void. Now the first test case which I'll write is test addition with positive numbers. So this is my first test case which I want to run. Okay, like that I'll write one more test case, public void test addition with 0 numbers. So 2 0, at both the arguments I will send as 0 and I'll check how it behaves, my function addition, right? So this is one more test case. Now here I'll create one more function, that is create obj. So basically guys, the function which we are going to test is this one, right? I'll show you that again. Calculator API src main Java. So this addition function which we have written in our library is what we are going to test. But before we call this function, so test in the sense what we are going to do, we are going to call this function with different numbers as an argument. We will get the result back and we will check whether the result is correct or not, whatever we are getting. So by that we are going to check whether the logic written in this function is indeed working fine or not. So if you are doing it, if you are calling that actual function written in the application's implementation and sending the different set of arguments to it, receiving the output from it and checking whether the output is right or wrong, you are doing nothing but unit testing, right? So for that I need the object of this class first, otherwise how would I call this function and get it tested, right? So what I'll do is I will just create the object of this in this function. So I will just create the reference variable calc, because this variable I would be requiring to call the addition function in different methods here. So I cannot just define this local to this, otherwise it won't be available to other functions, right? So I'm just keeping it at the class level and I'm going to calc new. So the implementation in this class would be divided into multiple methods here in this test class. So this method is responsible for creating the object of the class in which that method to be tested is written. In this method we will have the actual test case going there. So calc dot addition, and the test case is to test the addition method with 2 positive numbers. So I'll send 2 positive numbers and I'll get one result. So I will define one more variable res, which is expected to receive the result back from the method, and there we will have the assertion. So for the assertion, like assertion is actual and expected should be compared, and based on that your test case will either be marked as passed or it will be marked as failed, right? So that is the assertion will go here. We will talk about how to integrate assertion and all, but I just want to create a scenario here like how the unit testing is done. Here again in the second test case, res equal to calc.addition. So I will call the addition method by sending 0, 0, and then again there will be an assertion here, right? Assertion. So now this is what how the unit testing is done on any any implementation if you are doing as a developer. So the unit testing is nothing but this. You are required to create one test class, and then in that you will implement the unit test cases like this, and you will by far divide your implementations. The flow, basically the testing has a flow, like do this, after do this, after do this, and then do this. So it has got some flow, right? So to manage it, you will just distribute the different things into the different functions. So this function will only be doing the creation of the object. These are the actual test case functions, right? This is also an actual test case function. Once you are done with the whole testing, you will create one method to say like stop test. And for stopping the test, what do you mean by stopping the test is you will assign this object back to null, because now you are done with using that calc object which you have created and you have tested, you are done. So this is how you will just bifurcate the different processes which will be in the flow of your testing in multiple functions, and then you will get them executed one after the other. So how to execute them is what we are going to talk about now. But let me first save this test calculator API. I'll just save this in our src test Java package folder. here I will save our unit test case class, right? And then in our next video we are going to talk about how to get them executed one after the other, and then where the unit testing tools comes into the picture. Okay.